You talked about the detriment of having like cheat meals, basically, of cooked food and how it no longer tends to feel. When I travel, I do a lot of traveling, and I'm always so curious about the cuisines of different countries. And I've noticed that my curiosity doesn't actually compel me to eat a full meal then. If I'm just gonna have one bite of it, I'm like totally satisfied. I can just walk away. I'm like, oh, now I know what that tastes like.
Okay.
Do you think there's any harm in having literally one bite of cooked food?
Well, cooked food is always harmful. Obviously, the less of it you consume, the less damage there is. So if you can have one bite and stop there and you're done and you don't need to eat any more in that country because you've satisfied your curiosity, okay, that's probably going to be okay. You know, remember, cooked foods are usually highly addictive. So most people have trouble stopping. This is why I've always said much better to eat 100% raw. It's not because, I mean, honestly, I would say, look, if one, let's say, let me share a story with you guys. Some of you know that what happened in Panama. I lost everything in Panama, came to Costa Rica 8 years ago. I'll tell that story later on. I told it a couple weeks ago, if you haven't heard it. But I came to Costa Rica with $200, literally, and this was 8 years ago, eight years and a few months. It was pretty difficult. I needed transportation. I was staying on a farm where I was renting space to fast people. But there was one bus to town. It left at 5 a.m. on Wednesday morning, and it came back at 5 p.m. on Wednesday night. And that was the only bus all week. One that went and one that came back. And I couldn't be gone for 12 hours when I had clients. I needed to get to town to buy food, to buy fruit. So I wound up buying this old car. It was a Toyota Land Cruiser, old one, like 1971, okay? The paint held all the rust together, okay? I mean, the thing was a death trap. It was a complete piece of crap. I was fortunate I survived the drive. I went to San Jose to pick it up and drove 4 hours to where I was staying. That was a scary ride. But I was only driving like 30, 40 minutes to town, a couple times a week. That wasn't such a big deal, right? After the session ended, I left that place. I had rented another place, but I wasn't going to take possession of it until just before the session started. So I'm tooling around. I decided I had Skype calls with clients every day. I was trying to save some money. I was going to go down to the coast, but one of my favorite things to do in the world is body surf. So I migrated all the way south down the Costa Rican coast from where I was. I'd spend a few days or a week in one place, and I'd go to the next place, and I'd stay in these cheap little, really cheap little places you probably don't want to stay in. I didn't want to stay there either, but it fit my budget at the time. And one day, the emergency brake broke. And the next day, I hadn't fixed it, but I'm upper end these hills, and the car dies. And I've got no emergency brake. And you guys know the Toyota Land Cruiser? Again, these are they look like the big fat Jeeps, right? It's a small truck. It's heavy. And I'm stuck on a hill like this. At the bottom is a river. Okay? Take my foot off the brake and it starts rolling backwards. And I'm going, damn, what am I going to do? I can't move it forward. I can't drive it. It's dead. So I jump out and I get behind it. And it takes me about 45 minutes to slowly push it up to a place where it's level enough I can leave it for a moment and grab a big rock and stick it behind a wheel. And then grab another one behind the other wheel. And I put rocks behind all four wheels. And then I went to get help. I didn't have a cell phone that worked there. There was no service where I was. And I was stuck. And it occurred to me that as I'm pushing this thing up the hill, right, that halfway up, it would have been a bad time to stop and tie my shoe. Okay, are you with me? Okay, so if you're trying to take your health and vitality from this level to this one, as you're making that journey, you don't want to stop and take a lot of detours because you're going to wind up losing ground. Okay, once you get there, it's a lot easier. And I'll give you an example of this as well. Once you get there, once you're on level ground, you can easily keep that car moving, right? A child can keep a car moving if it's already moving once you start it. So if you can get to level ground and keep moving, all right, then if there's a little bump in the road, you can get over that. But if you're trying to go up the hill and there's a little rock in the way, you might not be able to ever get over that little bump. Okay? Same bump, but it's different when you're trying to do this as when you're already moving doing this. I enjoy the gourmet food. I feel it the next day, but I recover really quickly. Okay? You guys, okay, one more piece of this story. I had a woman once, in fact, I mentioned her to you, Mike, this morning. We had a woman from Connecticut who was scheduled to have both of her hips replaced. She was 52 years old. She had no cartilage in her hips. Bone on bone, right? Ball and socket. They say it's one of the most painful things you can experience. Bone on bone. Okay, no cartilage, no synovial fluid. They didn't know how she could stand up, let alone walk. She was doing it, but she was in incredible pain. She must have had a very high threshold for pain. A friend of hers said, hey, before you get your joints fixed, why don't you call this guy? I heard him speak in Manhattan one night. It was amazing. You should check it out. This woman calls me and says, what do you think? And I said, I don't know. Medicine says can't replace cartilage. We've seen people appear to, we're not using any kind of diagnostic tools to measure whether there's cartilage, but it appears that it's healing. Can't hurt you. I mean, maybe it'll help. She fasts for 30 days, and she walks out of Tanglewood into her friend who sent her to me, picked her up. She walked out to the car, no pain whatsoever. Okay? Now, on their way back to Connecticut, they decided as they drove by New York, they would go into the city and have a gourmet raw vegan meal. Even though I made it very clear, do not do that. Fruit and salad only for the next 6 weeks. And the day after leaving, the day that she left, she had a gourmet raw vegan meal. Woke up the next morning in severe pain. One meal. Okay? Don't make this mistake. Okay? Follow the program. Follow the program. Makes a big difference. We had a guy here last session, stage 4 lymphoma. Okay? Cancer of the lymphatic system. We have major lymph nodes here, here, in the groin, throughout the body, but major ones. He had giant tumors all around his face. He looked it was kind of difficult. I mean, it was really strange looking, right? He couldn't sleep on his side because of the pain of the tumors under his arms. I don't recall exactly how long his fast was. I think it was around 22 or 23 days. Whatever you accomplish here, you're going to maintain only if you make excellent choices after you leave. He went back to doing exactly what he was doing before. The same exact things that caused the disease in the first place. So guess what happened? He recreated the same problem. Okay? That's what happened. Again, for those of you getting started, I was going to say this later, I'll say it now. And for those of you who've been here, this is a reminder. The most important thing to do right now is to get completely clear about what you're committed to. Because you can do anything if you're committed. So if you want to feel and function amazingly well, you can. You just have to make the choices that support that. And if that's what's most important to you, you'll do that even though it means giving up some other things. It's the same as life. There's always trade-offs. Okay? I want to have a child, but that means I don't have the same freedom I had before. True? There's a big time true. There's a trade-off. Okay? You want to run a business, but that means you're not playing golf as much as some of your buddies who are retired. Am I right? Okay, there's trade-offs involved. This is just life. We get to choose what's most important. And then we need to do whatever it is that we need to do to actually support that. So if you're just getting started, make sure you're clear about what you're committed to. Because if you're committed to getting the best results, then the key is to do what you need to do through this process so you leave here with the greatest amount of transformation possible. What's possible is incredible. It's incredible. Hi, enjoying my videos? If you'd like to learn much more, check out the Academy for Vibrant Living, where our Vibrant Health course will teach you everything you need to know to take your health to an amazing new level. And if you'd like to turn your passion for health into a lucrative career, check out the Health Coaching course, where you can become a professional, certified health coach and help as many people as possible see amazing results.